Good evening. If everyone could take their seats, please. Good evening. Welcome. I thank all of you for coming here tonight. I'm Steve Gombinski, president of the Lincoln Road BID, the Business Improvement District, the BID, and we are proud to sponsor this incredible showing of 13 major Botero sculptures on our iconic Lincoln Road street, and to celebrate its opening in this august space, thanks to the generosity of the New World Symphony and its president and chief operating officer, Howard Herring, a valued member of the BID's executive committee and head of our cultural committee. I would also particularly like to thank the mayor who's coming, the commissioners, Jimmy Morales, and the entire city of Miami for their support. They have diligently worked to ensure that not only will the incredible James Corner master plan that reimagines Lincoln Road shortly come to fruition, but that this plan will be supported by our Business Improvement District continuing to sponsor new and exciting art, music, and cultural experiences on Lincoln Road. I particularly want to thank Gary Nader, Paul Sejas, and Lyle Stern for their efforts in creating this wonderful exhibition. And I invite Lyle to come up and say a few words.
You know, I had that classic faux pas. I was just telling Howard I have a bottle of water. I wasn't sure where to put it. I was going to put it on the piano, and then I realized that's probably like a $2 million piano. And then my wife told me to take the paper clip out of my notes, which I forgot. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Tonight's a very special night for our collective communities, Lincoln Road, the cultural community, the city of Miami Beach, and the visitors to our community. Like any other great moment, it was born out of inspiration, collaboration, and partnership. So I thought a little perspective was important. A few months ago, I was at Time Out Market. I went on its opening day for lunch and dinner. I went on the second day for lunch and dinner. And I saw our community there, friends from Miami Beach, from Miami, people that I hadn't seen in a while on Lincoln Road. Hundreds and hundreds of people coming to this new and exciting place. It was the definition of an experiential environment. You know, the kind of place that people are attracted to come for the experience. I also realized in that moment that the energy, or at least the curiosity, wasn't translating to our road. As always, I thought that art and culture were the answer. So I called Dennis Scholl from Oolite, you all know formerly the South Florida Art Center, and he made time right away to see me. So I socialized the idea of a collaboration between the Lincoln Road BID and the Art Center, and to have 80 different artists painting all the public sculptures on Lincoln Road. I thought that a month of activity of artists painting, and then, you know, being on display for a month, and then we'll paint them over again, and it would be an experience, and lots of people would come to see it. I actually thought it was quite a brilliant idea myself. So Dennis said, sure, we can do that. Does everybody know Dennis Scholl? Yeah. So Dennis said, sure, we can do that. Not likely that there's enough time for this coming season, but we can plan on it for next year. And then he said to me, is this really what you want? I answered both shocked and confused. I said, Dennis, what do you mean? And then Dennis asked the pivotal, driving, and central question that has changed the trajectory of our Lincoln Road and extended the cultural footprint of our community. He asked, what's the BID's vision for Lincoln Road? What's the long-term plan? Do you want to be an Instagrammable moment or an art and culture street of international consequence? Wow. I mean, just in that moment. So I asked him what he meant and is it possible? So he took the next hour to show me art installations around the world online. Jeff Kaw's in Hong Kong Harbor, Anish Kapoor's Cloud Gate in Chicago, Jeffrey Koons in Bilbao. And then he asked me, why not aim high, and why not here in Miami Beach on Lincoln Road? This was in an hour. It was an overwhelming question for me, and I asked, well, how do we do this? And as we discussed, what would have to happen to plant the seeds with intent and intelligence on Lincoln Road, he told me that the bid collaborating with a respected institution would be the key to building a street of credibility where artists would want to display, in fact, compete to display. Similar to the High Line or Rockefeller Center or public spaces in Tokyo or Doha or Paris. And he suggested meeting with Sylvia Kubina, the director of the Bass Art Museum. And he called Sylvia while we were sitting there and took the time to go with me to the Bass Art Museum to meet with her. Sylvia took the time to further educate me for the bid on what was possible and how achievable the goal was. But it had to be done properly. And we spoke a lot about intentionality and quality, words that I always hear from Howard. It furthered the change in our trajectory for the road. And while Dennis couldn't be here tonight because he's screening his new film at the Gables Art Cinema, I'd like to introduce Sylvia Kubina and ask her to stand and be recognized. For Sylvia. Thank you. Thank you. So I left that meeting with my head spinning, literally, and I called Paul Sejas because of his importance in the art community and asked if we could meet for lunch. Paul's always available. Any of you that know Paul know how available he is and how civic-minded he is. And I shared what I had learned, and I asked his thoughts. He took a pensive pause and said, we can do it, and we can do it this year. In the middle of lunch, and he said, and I know the guy that can make it happen. In the middle of lunch, Paul got on his phone and called Gary Nader. Gary didn't hesitate for 1 second to partner with us because of how much he trusted Paul and Paul's vision. The last peg was clearing any city hurdles. So we arranged the call with our city manager, Jimmy Morales, who just had to leave, who listened intently and said, I'm all in. Thank you, Jimmy, even though you're not here anymore. I thought the context of how this came together was important for all of you to know because the statues just didn't appear. They appeared because of collaboration, because of intent, and because of people in our community coming together. So it's a collaboration between distinct leaders in the art world of Oolite and the Bass and Gary Nader. And it sets the standard for what we're committed to on Lincoln Road in terms of culture and art moving forward. Only the beginning. As always, the New World Symphony partnered to create a great evening for us. So I'm going to bring up Howard Herring and introduce Howard. Before I do that, there are two people that we really must acknowledge who are the workhorses of the Lincoln Road bit. So I'd like to acknowledge Tim Schmond and Natalie Mejia for all the incredible work that they did. So thank you. With that, I'd like to introduce Howard Herring. I won't put it on the piano.
No, don't put it on the piano. Yeah, what Lyle doesn't understand is that if he puts that water on the piano, he goes straight to prison. So it's wonderful to have all of you here. I've been in Miami 19 years. I came here because we had imagined this building. And I've spent the first 4 or 5 years working so hard on this that I didn't even stop to think about what was Miami. And I woke up one summer morning and I thought, this is the coolest place I have ever been and could ever be. And part of the reason is the people who are in this room tonight. So I think that we are inventing a city, making a city, and doing it rather smartly, and we are going to get to enjoy it as well, as you'll see later tonight. A couple of thoughts. When we took our program, we spent 3 years articulating a program for the New World Symphony, an educational and artistic program, and we took it to Frank Gehry. And he began his design work, took him 3 years to design it. And one of the major statements we made to him is create a space that is ideal for 87 fellows, for 87 young musicians who are beyond their graduate studies, but not yet professional, in this wonderful middle ground in between, kind of like a doctor's residency. Make it right for them so they can find their own voices and be prepared to have robust careers. But make it a community asset. It has to be both. Music is an inward-facing discipline. Sharing that music is an outward-facing discipline, and relating to your community is all important, and that's what Frank gave us, so we are most grateful to him. Our vision statement, we say that we see a strong and secure future for classical music. We will reimagine, reaffirm, express, and share its traditions with as many people as possible. With as many people as possible. There is not another classical music organization in the United States that is brave enough to say that. But part of what's going on Lincoln Road right now is related to that business of sharing. Michael Tilson Thomas met Ted Arison in 1987. Michael had an idea that became this institution. Ted was a music lover and someone who would have been a pianist had he had the talent. And one of his primary comments, that's right. One of his primary comments to Michael was, we got to share this music. We got to go beyond the concert hall. So his idea was a television screen and 2 little speakers about that big around. So in 1989, when the first concerts were held in Lincoln Theater, above the lobby door was this television screen and these 2 little speakers putting out the worst sound possible. But we were making ourselves available to the people who were walking on Lincoln Road. At that point, not so many people. But my point is that this business of sharing goes all the way back to the beginning of this institution. That little TV screen became the wall. And the wall casting that we do, attracting upwards of 2,000 people per wall cast, is part of the new center of gravity that is this Lincoln Road and this district. 75% of the people who come to the Wallcast have never purchased a ticket to the New World Symphony. It's a whole second audience. We've got 750 people inside, we've got 2,000 people outside. It's a wonderful phenomenon. 80% come in groups of 5 or more. This is community. And 40% include Lincoln Road in their experience. So that's kind of a summary of where we are. And I'll take one more step backward and say that in the early days, when we were dreaming this building, and I was walking up and down Lincoln Road talking to property owners and restaurateurs and retailers, and they were looking at me like I had 3 heads, I did find some visionaries, and one of them was Ambassador Paul Sejas. And he has been with us throughout this adventure. We are grateful to him, and it's my pleasure to introduce him to you. Ambassador Sejas.
Good evening. That was very generous, and I thank you. I really shouldn't be recognized for doing anything. But before I tell you a little bit about follow-up of what happened, there are some people here that need to be recognized. One is Juan Carlos Botero, the maestro's son. Juan Carlos and his wife, please. Who has, there he is, and he's honoring us with coming personally to unveil the exhibition tonight, and we're grateful to you, Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos is a writer and wrote a book about his dad, and I had the pleasure of meeting the maestro a few years ago in New York. But this idea came because of Lyle Stern's concern about our community, our Lincoln Road business district, and he was preoccupied that we needed to do something, that the city, the owners needed to do something to, like a renaissance for Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road is a magnificent place, and it deserves the attention that we're now seeing that it's getting. We've had a lot of competition for everywhere in the community, but still Miami Beach is one of the greatest places in the world, I guarantee you that. And Lincoln Road is the anchor to Miami Beach. If you're a tourist and you ask the concierge, where can you go for a little walk and shop and have something to eat, they'll point you to Lincoln Road. So we have to show Lincoln Road at its best, because that's what's going to bring people to Miami Beach to enjoy what we have to offer. Wonderful weather and wonderful facilities throughout. And now with the new convention center, we can also expect bigger and better things. And by the way, in terms of introducing, the developer of the new hotel is also honoring with us with his presence tonight. David Martin somewhere. David, where are you? He was here. I've known David since he was a young man, probably a baby. And so we also have somebody else that is a celebrity and is honoring us with his presence, and that's our good friend, Emilio Stefan. Emilio, an honor. So back to the story, I called my good friend Gary Nader, and when Lyle told you about calling Gary Nader, it was easy, because I've known Gary for many years, probably longer than he would like to admit. But we've known each other. We have traveled together for art. We've gone as far as Abu Dhabi and Dubai to see art and to see fairs. We have been friends for many years. Besides his advice on Latin American art has been very instrumental in my ability to acquire valuable pieces throughout the years. So we have not only a relationship of a gallerist who has a dream, and that dream is to have a museum in Miami. And Gary, I am sure that with your ability that your dream will come through, and hopefully, and perhaps, Greater Miami will have another great museum, and that will be a museum of Latin American art. But when I called Gary, his reaction was, I said, Gary, I remember vividly when I had the honor of serving our country in Belgium, taking a trip to Paris in 1991, 92, and going down Champs-Élysées and seeing these monumental sculptures of Botero there. I was proud. I said, as a Latin, I was proud that Botero was there. And when I saw the sculptures and the attraction and how the people and the traffic that created, it was really unbelievable. So I said, why not for Lincoln Road? I called him, and it didn't take 2 seconds. He said, of course, we'll do it on Lincoln Road. And not only it shows you, and by the way, at no cost to the city and no cost to anybody else other than his generosity. Gary said, we'll install the pieces and we'll do it this year so that it will be open when Art Basel opens, and we'll have it done this year. So I want to thank you, Gary, my good friend, for I also want to tell you, as a matter of logistics that you got a card when you walk in today, and that card, it serves you to go down the street after the program is over, after you see all the beautiful sculptures on Lincoln Road. You'll be treated to dinner and drinks, or drinks and dinner, as you may like, by the BID, the Business Association, at Time Out, which is straight down on Drexel. And you'll see the energy, and you'll bring more energy to another establishment that is creating that energy that Lincoln Road needs. So without further ado, I am to introduce my good friend and generous humanitarian, Gary Nader.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everybody. The museum does exist. It's an interim space in Wynwood that I invited everybody to visit. Of course, the major museum, like Paul said, we're looking forward to build. And you know, when one's built a collection, besides putting so much effort, time, millions of miles travel, leaving your family, putting a collection is not undertaking. It's a commitment of my lifetime. But like every collector, and Paul can testify to that, understands and main goal is not to collect for himself or his family only. It's to collect for everybody. No artist in the world has produced a piece for the few, but for the many. And this is what we're trying to do today. The vision of the Latin American Art Museum, it's complicated because it's a lot of countries, but it's very simple. I have a mission, and I've been explaining to my children, thank you for being here, that the mission of the Latin American Museum is that every Latin American major artist should be recognized today. The likes of Mata, Botero, of course, Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, Tamayo, Torres Garcia, Wilfredo Lam, I can mention hundreds of names, are as important as their peers from United States or Europe or Asia. And this is what I'm trying to do. We today are proudly represent those artists in the museum, and we believe that Latin America deserves a place to be recognized and their story to be told. Also extremely important for me is that, you see, from Mexico to Chile, there are hundreds of artists that are very well known in their countries, but they're practically unknown outside. And this is what I wanted to create. It's a platform for young artists of mid-career that deserve to be shown in a museum, a platform in a major city like our city and in a major museum. And this is what I live for today. You know, we've been very successful at what we do. We thank people like Paul that always support us. And it's you know, I've done 100 shows, biennales, art fairs, I publish books, and today we're getting there. Little by little, we're getting there, because before, Latin American art was practically unknown. And today, every major museum is collecting some Latin American artists, and even every major gallery is following our lead and is representing major Latin American artists. Make no mistake, you know, Latin America, it's about art and culture. This is our best gift to the world. And this specific exhibition is going to be extremely pleasing to me because, you know, when you stand in front of Botero, it's a different story. And people ask me, why you collect Botero so much, and why you like him so much? It's like Paul said, I was living in Paris when he did that show in 1992, and it was just amazing, especially to look at the children looking at them. You know, to be in front of these marvelous, voluptuous, sensual, overwhelming sculptures, it brings you one thing only. It brings you smile, and it brings you pleasure. You might not like the artist, you might not understand him, you might not, but you have to recognize that it's overpowering. Our city is growing. These are the things that make our city important. And, I'm extremely pleased that Paul invited me to do this. When he asked me, of course, I'm not going to hesitate. Like I said, they were made to be shown. So the first person that I want to thank, of course, is Maestro Botero and his son for being here. I think Maestro Botero is the one who deserves an applause. And by the way, not only an extraordinary human being, he is a truly philanthropist. He donated hundreds and hundreds of his own works and the masters to his beloved Colombia. He has donated hundreds of works to other universities. He's very well known for that also. He's the most recognizable artist in the world, period. Nobody, he even has his name, Boterismo. Not everybody recognizes other artists, but trust you me, he's recognized all over the planet. So, Mayor, thank you so much. Lyle, Tim, thank you. There is one person also that I want to thank. Every family has a patriarch, and our patriarch is here today. George Salomon Nader, where are you? Where's my uncle? He's not here? He didn't make it? He betrayed me. But he deserves it because he was the first one to open a gallery in Haiti 50 years ago. And from him, I think in our family we're about 12 or 15 art dealers trying to make a living out of selling art. Once again, thank you for being here. Paul, thank you for lending me your streets. Please tell your friends, take a lot of pictures, and enjoy the show. Thank you so much.
I want to just take 1 second to acknowledge and welcome Commissioner Sally Hayman from Miami-Dade County, who's joined us this evening. And Sally, please stand up. Come on, Sally. And it's my profound pleasure to introduce our mayor of Miami Beach, Mayor Dan Gelber.
Hi, I'm Dan Gelber, and it is my privilege to be the mayor of this city. I am the luckiest mayor in the world because I get to go to events like this. I want to introduce some colleagues who are here. First of all, Commissioner, where's Joy Malakoff? You still here? There you are, Joy Malakoff. And Joy has been in our community for a very long time. She remembers when culture in our community, and I was an usher at the convention center, was going to the convention center to watch professional wrestling. That was what we did here in Miami Beach 40 years ago. We also have 2 new commissioners in our city, and they're both here. Where is Steve Miner? Stephen Miner right there, Commissioner-elect Stephen Miner. And Commissioner-elect David Richardson. So right there, David Richardson, thank you. So I'll be brief. Because I think people appreciate that. I would just want to say this. First of all, our community is really finding itself in art and culture. And I wasn't kidding. 40 or 50 years ago, you went to professional wrestling. If you wanted a nonfiction, you went to boxing. There wasn't really stuff going on here. And now all of a sudden, we discovered that the best version of our city is this. It is creating special moments, as Gary was saying a moment ago. Special moments for people to come and look at things like this and feel that kind of unity or feel that kind of reaction. And if you walk around our city today, whether it's in a Soundscape Park where there are going to be 400 or 500 people watching as the studio audience, but there will be 2,000 people who probably will never go inside, but will get the amazing experience that they put on here. Or the convention center in Pride Park. Monday will be one of the art exhibits will be there. Walking by the Ackerman mural. And then now walking down Lincoln Road and seeing amazing art for everybody. That, I hate to break to you, didn't happen because of government. Probably happened in spite of government. But the truth of the matter is it happens because people come to our community and say, I see something here that I can really do something with. I see a vision, and a lot of those people are in this room. Obviously, Ambassador Sejas, we are so grateful to you for deciding that this is going to be your palette, this is your canvas, and we love that. Lyle, you have done amazing things. I know you have a great vision for this place. And Howard, what you have done in the New World Symphony, what you have done to create not just great music, but an experience that is unforgettable for anyone who comes to experience it is crazy. So for me, I am lucky to be a mayor of this community because I get to